Welcome everyone. In Group 1 mains, economy constitutes a very important segment, and there is a need to integrate the current developments with your answers. And there are two segments, as you know, by this time you might be knowing. One is Indian economy. The second one is Andhra Pradesh economy and economic development kind of thing. So friends, Indian economy segment in the Group 1 is actually a bit complicated in the sense that lot of concepts and areas have been infused in the syllabus. For example, if you see the first unit itself, you have a variety of issues there, variety of topics there, right from rupee volatility, oil, and everything they have included. In fact, the first unit itself is a very tough one to deal with. Okay. And similarly, if we examine all the units of Indian economy syllabus, as you know, there are 12 units in the economy paper for Group 1 mains, APPSC Group 1 mains. And of course, it is clubbed both with Indian economy as well as Andhra Pradesh economy. For this purpose, we are only dealing with Indian economy. And of course, in my previous sessions, which are also on the YouTube, and of course, a batch is also there for that, where a huge response has been there. Many people have joined and they are happy with that. So AP economy, we are not dealing with it now, that has been dealt with. Now let us focus on Indian economy, because your marks should be uniform. Okay, and there are a lot of latest developments in the economy also. You have been reading for past 1.5 years, as you know, for the prelims and mains and all that, but now things are fast changing. While the questions are always both contemporary as well as analysis, it is important that you should have data. So I have been getting many calls and requests from the students that how do we approach Indian economy now that we have already been dealing with AP economy. Many people have sent me messages and calls that why did you give us some idea? And in fact, there are also many requests for a batch in the same way how we have done a comprehensive, explanation followed by the Q&A mode, and of course how the questions can be asked in each of the segment. Friends, a 360 degrees approach will always help. First, reading a concept or any area, topic, and understanding it thoroughly. Then try to get updated with the latest data, and then you can see how questions are asked on that. And the last part is how do we write. So if we have these 4 pillars of success, definitely you will get very good marks in economy, and that will be sure to decide your future prospects in the Group 1. What I have done is, I have framed each of the unit syllabus. In each of the unit in the syllabus, I have analyzed, and what kind of questions can come. That we'll see for a few minutes now. And of course, as the purpose is one is also to help students by trying to give them some idea on what kind of questions they can expect. The other one is also, I want to also launch a batch for this from tomorrow, that is 7th of November, so that it will be comprehensively helpful to the students in the last minute who are reading. If you have already read, you can revise and update, and if you have not read, you can safely depend on this. That is the purpose. So let us go to the syllabus units, which are actually Indian economy. I have omitted AP economy part in this. Let us go to that, and I will share the screen so that these questions can be seen in the in a PDF manner. So first unit, as I was telling you friends, first unit itself is very complicated, in the sense that there could be many questions in the first unit itself. For example, the basic economy aspect, now the focus has always been on GDP, especially post COVID, whether we are declining, the growth will be negative. If negative, whether it is single digit or double digit. There have been a lot of views, and also there is a debate on recovery of Indian economy post COVID, what kind of stimulation they have done. So there could be questions like, discuss the recent trends in Indian economic growth, which is actual GDP growth, and why the growth has slowed down, kind of thing. Then they may also directly ask what kind of impact, because last 6 to 7 months we are already struggling to deal with COVID. So what kind of impact of COVID you see on Indian economy and GDP growth? Friends, COVID has really changed the entire paradigm of global economy, including Indian economy, because there are multiple adverse impacts on the economy. One is, of course, the lockdown, and the lockdown had resulted in sudden halting of manufacturing activity and economic activity, which also resulted in two sides. One, it had reduced the wage earning capacity or income earning capacity of many people across the country, whether it is businesses or individuals, and the purchasing power had come down because of the salary cuts and deferments, as well as layoffs that have taken place. And receivables means, for example, if I am a MSME, I supply goods to a bigger company, ancillary industries. Now, unless the bigger company, unless my clients or customers get money, I don't get money. These are called receivables. There have been a lot of delays in receivables also. So all this have impacted the demand in the economy. It is now seen as picking up, but whether this will sustain or not, that we'll have to see. So one, the manufacturing sector, almost all sectors have stopped. Secondly, the purchasing power parity of people, PPP of people have come down, and this had actually impacted the demand. And there are also logistics issues, bottlenecks, supply chain issues are also there. So you have to bring it out in a very brief manner and say, of course, support with data, what kind of data that is available, that you need to see in this. So you can get a question on different ways of questions can come. What kind of impact of COVID you see on Indian economy and its GDP growth? Similarly, Atmanirbhar package. Now that one, we have a challenge. What is the response from the government? The response from the government is Atmanirbhar package, which also includes schemes like Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, and there are slew of measures that have been announced under Atmanirbhar package. Friends, this requires a lot of skill to present all of them in 10 minutes. In fact, you can also expect an essay on this in essay paper related to this economy and revival measures they have taken. But in a short form, you just divide it into two parts. One is the major government announcements. Then, of course, RBI is part of government, but RBI, how it has stepped in and announced some of the measures like this. Anyway, we will deal with this comprehensively in the classes that we are going to start tomorrow. And what are the measures? This they may ask. This is a very most visited upon area earlier before COVID. Whether Indian economy is on the path to become a $5 trillion economy, in GDP size, because we are already around 2.2, 2.4. So before COVID, it was always thought by 2024 we could reach up the $5 trillion size economy, but post COVID there are a lot of doubts. So this question may be revisited, and instead of asking a general question on Atmanirbhar, what are the measures the government had taken recently to boost manufacturing sector? You can expect a question. Now, rupee has relatively been stable now, but these are some of the rupee and balance of payments trends also got impacted because of COVID. In fact, our exports and imports got impacted by COVID also. We have 6 months quarterly exports data that was released by Ministry of Commerce, and you need to synchronize the data in this question on whether it is BOP, balance of payments, or rupee volatility, or exports and imports. Then non-performing assets of public sector banks, that has been a steady topic for many years now, and we know that there have been the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, IBC, has also been put in place, and there are some suggestions that are being done to amend the SURFACE Act also. We'll see that. Here, what is the quantum? First of all, what is the problem? What is the quantum of NPS as a second quarter end, September 30th, and what are the measures that we need to see? Of course, as I said, this can also be asked as IBC and recent amendments that has been done. Then gross capital formation. This is a minute area. Inadequate gross capital formation was behind sluggish growth of Indian manufacturing sector. Last 3 years, you see, if you can do 5 years also, but for the examination point of view in a 10 markers question, you can actually see the 3-year data. Then the inclusive growth has been a problem. Now, how do you define inclusive growth? You have, UN definitions, you have World Bank definitions, you have IMF definitions, you have Niti Aayog definitions. So, inclusive growth you define and various approaches, including the Jam Trinity model, you can actually see. Then SDGs. SDGs have come into force, sustainable development goals replaced millennium development goals in 2015. What has been the progress? Now, in the banking sector reforms, one of the issue is consolidation of the banks. I have not mentioned here because I don't want to terrify you by the number of the questions. But apart from capital infusion, apart from NPS, banking consolidation can also happen because we do have from April 1st, we have a big round of banking consolidation that had taken place. So there could be a question on banking reforms in particular and banking consolidation, public sector bank consolidation. Coming to budget and finance, public finance, the questions could be like discuss the main trends in budget resources of the government and gross capital formation in public sector. Then economic reforms, a broader general question, thematic question on economic reforms of 1991. And FDI policy, what is the recent update on FDI, that also need to be seen. Now, Reserve Bank's monetary policy and link between GDP growth. One interesting thing is that banks across the world in developed countries, for example, you take US Federal Reserve, this is not inflation targeting. Inflation targeting is nothing but trying to, reduce or trying to control inflation at a particular, in the case of India, it's about 4%, right? But US Federal Reserve and other Bank of England and other developed economies, the central banks are not bothered about inflation control, they are only growth driven. So why is it that India is focusing on inflation control? Why is that RBI is focusing on inflation control? I myself have written a lot on this. If you put my name and you can see the articles have written the papers. So the RBI in India is always trying to balance between inflation and growth. So there could be some questions on this. Friends, in the group one, what I observed is gone were the days when the questions were very static and very direct. Especially in essay and economy, things are changing fast. You can get questions almost like civil services. So please don't miss this opportunity. Read very carefully in all the angles and try to present the answer in a better argument manner. There is always an overlap. For example, if you see, we are talking about gross capital formation. Here we are also talking about private capital, right? Private sector, gross capital GCF in private sector, like that. You just need to master the technique of doing that. Then the balance between fiscal and monetary policy is very important. Now, fiscal policy related to investments. For example, if agricultural infrastructure needs to be done, government need to invest. Very important aspect here is, I will tell you an example. See, for example, the inflation in India has predominantly been food price inflation. So, if we want to ensure a reduction in food price inflation, you need to have proper agri infra, whether it is marketing or whether it is storage facilities, or how do you transport goods from fields to markets. Now, will RBI be able to do it? Absolutely not. RBI can never invest in developing cold storages. RBI can never take up market reforms like ENAM or whatever. Government has to take. So, fiscal policy measures always include investments, whereas monetary policy measures actually talk about controlling or regulating money supply in the economy. So, there is a total dichotomy between them. So, if there is inflation, we need to tackle it in two ways. One is through RBI, the other one is fiscal. If it is a demand side inflation, RBI measures can be helpful, but if it is a supply side inflation, it is actually fiscal policy measures that we are trying to do. So, if there is an inflation, if we are only dependent on RBI reducing rates or increasing rates or whatever key rates, inflation cannot be controlled. If there is a supply side inflation, we need to give a fiscal policy boost, right, or fiscal policy measures. Otherwise, it is like giving a wrong pill to a wrong disease. If you are having heart attack, you cannot give, a medicine for stomachache, right? Then you say inflation is not being controlled. These are the questions that you can expect in RBI monetary and fiscal policy. If some of you are writing UPSC also, this kind of questions are expected. Of course, I have a batch for UPSC economy, but the nature of questions are totally different. So here we are following only group 1 syllabus and how questions can come. But this is the kind of thing you can expect between the differences between fiscal policy and RBI's monetary policy. Then of course, capital formation we have seen. Sometimes traditional questions like SEBI, stock questions like Securities Exchange Board of India can also come. Then inflation targeting, recently inflation targeting, in fact, appointment of members to, the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, has also been delayed for the first time. So what is inflation targeting, what is MPC is a very, how the mechanism has been functioning is very important. Solar energy is of course important in the energy sector. Now what is budgeting? In the budget segment, some are missing in the, because whatever AP economy, for example, AP 3, unit 3 is AP economy that I have not mentioned, so that's the reason we have got to unit 4, Indian economy. So budgeting, size of budget, what is the nature of budget since liberalization, FRBM impacting budget and all that are important, because now in the post-COVID, a lot of changes have happened. RBI has also observed the state finances are at the risk. So we have states as well as center shooting over the FRBM limit of mandatory limit of 3%. So that needs to be integrated. Even if they don't ask, you need to write that. Then what are the main trends in the nature of state budgets in the economy in the country is very important. Now the fiscal deficit question is likely. What are the trends in the management of fiscal deficit in the union budget in the last 5 years? Or they may ask in the recent years. Unless they ask 5 years, you stick to 3 years, because 3 years is a trend. Only 2 years data you should never give, because we cannot establish any trend. So then GST, definitely one question is expected. Now a lot of things are happening in the GST post-COVID. There are issues between central and the state. You effectively need to integrate it. Now first say what is GST, what are the slabs and what are the current issues, what is the way forward, like that. Then 14th Finance Commission has brought in cooperative federalism. 15th Finance Commission is going to submit its report by the time you write exam. I will also give you an update in the classes on 15th Finance Commission, but still you need to prepare 14th Finance Commission again. You might have already read what kind of cooperative federalism or fiscal federalism that is being done. Center-state relations, the financial perspective is important, and budget. What are the main components of Union Budget 2021 is also one important area. Then again we have inclusive growth, poverty, then NREGA, JAM Treaty model, Ayushman Bharat or Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Then PM JDY, you can go through this because this will be available, but these are broad areas. Then here I also included some AP, because this is a key program that has included the center also. Then Shantakumar Committee recommendations, public distribution, PDS and FCA at the national level. We have Shantakumar Committee, which had asked for reforms of private sector, and what role you see for private sector in inclusive growth. If you see New Companies Act, then there is always this the corporate social responsibility, CSR spend. So that is also important. Then agriculture, again a very wide area, but I try to give synopsize some important questions here. Now agriculture sector's contribution, then a stock question on green revolution may be linked up with what is the need for a second green revolution in the country. The National Commission on Farmers, which can itself be a separate question on this, that is 2004 under MS Swaminathan, celebrated economist. So it also suggested a lot of measures including green reform, green revolution, second green revolution. Bringing green revolution to northeastern states is already being implemented in the northeastern states, but what is the way forward like that? Then cropping pattern and how it has been changing, agricultural credit finance structure, then ENAM, of course, marketing reforms, agri-marketing reforms, ENAM, and then zero budget natural farming. MSP has always been issue. Recently there is a controversy also, what is the formula for MSP and how it is being determined, whether it is higher than what National Commission of Farmers are suggested or what. Then dryland farming and agri reforms, in fact even the government of India and Prime Minister had recently announced agri reforms. You need to include that even if it is not asked directly. Then industries, the approach to industrialization in 1991, that means pre-liberalization era, the 1991 industrial policy, the stock questions, CPES, Central Public Sector Enterprises, trace the growth of industries in the wake of liberalization, privatization, globalization, LPG, what is disinvestment, whether it has been successful or not. Air India, people are still struggling to sell it, right? Then Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, PMG, MSMEs, COVID relief package, what are the boost to manufacturing sector, encouraging startups, then what is Make in India, there is an error here, it's only single N, Make in India, how far it has been successful, startups and Make in India are important, skilling India is also important here. Then railways are in the news. If you have noticed, for the first time we are also going to have private trains, and the railway board reforms. Railway reforms are very, very important. So railway reforms, then civil aviation, regional connectivity has been the issue. Then infrastructure bottlenecks, challenges, then PPP model, including what are the issues in the PPP model. Hybrid annuity model is the new thing that is being talked. Then advantages and disadvantages of PPP models, what are the delays, Digital India initiative, natural disaster management, what are the mechanism available and what are the recent measures. We do have a national disasters recently. Then environmental impact assessment, is it good for every project, including new capital for Andhra? We always have an issue from National Green Tribunal, and even central government has to give environmental clearance. Then green energy, green corridor. How important is green corridor is has to be seen. So friends, these are the ways in which you need to see and you should equip yourself. Now that there is still enough time, if a day has 24 hours, there is a lot of time for you. So just read it, read properly. Indian economy is tough, and of course we'll also be starting a batch for exclusive Indian economy group 1 mains. In the same way, a lot of AP economy demos, how I deal with economy, have been there in my YouTube channel. You can see that for any demo or whatever, or if you need more details, you can do. The classes commence from tomorrow, that is 7th. And apart from the classes, what I want all of you is to do that. A very good exercise is important for Indian economy part also, because the syllabus is huge. AP economy is relatively lesser syllabus compared to Indian economy, though weightage is same. Portion to be covered in Indian economy is huge, and you have to be very careful. And data updation is very, very important. You need to integrate up to October so that you will get at least 6.56 to 6.5 marks out of 10 questions. Otherwise, you will end up getting in 2 or 2.5 or 3, which will not take us anywhere. Okay, so friends, this is how we have to do, and you are welcome to join the classes also. As always, we'll do our best, and good luck. Please see these questions and try to see if you are having clarity on this or not. And that's it. Thank you and good luck.